Democracy, democracy. I come from a country that says that they have democracy and the rule of law. It's funny that it's only the government that ushers these words out to the people of the country, and yet they're the ones that unleash violence using the military and using the police. I do not see a way forward for a Zimbabwe that will come to the people using the word democracy. We're not a democratic country. ED surely shows that he's not a democratic person. If you see a president that comes out and says jokes about people being beaten and laughs about the whole situation, it's so sad, man. It's sad. It's very sad. Zimbabwe needs a turnaround, and the turnaround is not going to be us going on the street anymore. It's just not working. The fire is quickly put out before we even start it. There is no democracy. Look at the abductions that are happening right now in Zimbabwe. And the world over may be quiet. The EU has said something about it, but our president will turn around and say, hey, do not address the issue of human rights abuse. Address the issues of corruption. Well, human rights abuse are there every day. Our economy is a human rights abuse, because the people that are in power are the ones that keep taking from the ones that are poor. So how can we not talk about human rights? Even if we talk about the corruption that's in it, it's a basic fundamental of human rights abuse. Because all you seem to do is ZANU-PF take from the Zimbabweans. You have not changed, ED. We thought you would change, but actually, it's actually our fault to think that you would change, because you were the regime of Mugabe. The propaganda that has been happening to the Zimbabwean people, it's been you and the rest of your ministers. This is why you choose to remain in power for so many years. The economics of the country you really do not know. Yes, you might have the Mtuli Nuers that are well educated, but what they've actually just come to is a sinking boat. They cannot revive or try and bring up a sinking boat, because it's now too late. It's sinking. Zimbabwe is sinking. The people are suffering, and if you do not see it, and when we cry, you want to beat us up. You want to abduct. You want to kill. You've gone so low where you're going to take comedians that will talk about anything. I mean, go world over and you find that comedians can talk about each and everything that they want to talk about, as long as it's a social issue, as long as it's affecting them, as long as it's affecting the people. They make it into skits, which are called comedy, if you did not know that. But you abduct those people. You make them suffer as if they are a threat as a political party. It's a shame, Mr. ED, to watch you become this kind of a person. You've become unruly yourself. Your government has become unruly. ZANU-PF is definitely not for the people, but it's for the people in power. I personally do not believe that Nelson Chamisa is pushing a national agenda, but a national agenda. It's time you changed your thinking. It's time that, maybe try and bring your son into power. Ask him to run for certain constituencies and see without your ideology of saying if they do not agree with us, we kill them. If you kill us all, then who are you going to rule? What Zimbabwe are you going to have? The only people that remain is an entity of ZANU-PF. I think you are lost. I think the blood that you've shed over the years is working on you. You might not believe it, but it's working on you. Mr. President, we did not want to get you out of power. All we're saying is the solutions to a country so that we can move forward. Come next elections, we know you know how to steal votes. It's a fact. We know the countries that you've turned to before the whole shooting. I think it was in July. Before the whole shooting, you were in Russia. You were trained in Russia yourself. You look to the Chinese, communist countries. So, MTC, my advice, or any other political party that's going to get into the sector of trying to win the country over and give it back to the people, it's never going to be democratic, because it's not what Zimbabwe has. We do not have a democratic forum. It's said by the government that we do. We say it as we say it's our right, because we wrote part of the Constitution. But the Constitution has never worked for us. It only works for the people in government. So we need a change of approach to how we're going to get our country back and gain back our independence. And democratic approach is not one of it. Let's come up with ideas. Let's look forward to a new Zimbabwe. We are tired. The people that are beating you up are the same people that are staying in your house. They're renting your properties. They own nothing. Very few people that are in the army, in the police, actually own a house. They don't. They live in our houses. They beat you up and then they come back to your place. They wear riot combat when they get to their barracks and their offices and go into the street and torment you. Maybe not you physically, but people that you're close to. People that you know. Your relatives, your mother. Was Zimbabwe not meant to be for Zimbabweans? Should we change our identity to ZANU-PF? No longer as Zimbabwean, but as ZANU-PF. Is that the identity that we need to be identified as Zimbabweans? Because this has gone down, this has run down our country. Enough intimidation. Enough being abducted, enough being beaten. Where is the rule of law that we said that this was going to govern our country? It's nowhere to be seen, Zimbabweans. There is no food on your table, you've got no electricity, you've got no water, and then we blame it on MDC. Where does MDC get their funds from? Where are they governed from to say that they're running a council? They're running a council with people that 80% or 90% are not employed. So how are they supposed to bring sanitary water? How are they supposed to make the roads right? Look at the appalling roads, the state of the roads. And yet we've got toll gates that keep putting up their tariffs higher and higher, but the money never goes back into the roads. It goes back to a government. It's time we change, Zimbabweans, and it's time we look forward to a new Zimbabwe with a new way of thinking of how to take down this government.